John, who's in, who's out here for week number 3? It's a tough one here. Let's start in the AFC East. Last night we saw the Jets really look good. We saw New England, though, really pull past the Bills. I haven't made a change yet. I'm sticking with the Patriots in the East.
No reason to make a change. Rex Ryan obviously learned a lesson he should have learned when he was with the Jets. Don't poke the bear. Tom Brady's putting up historic numbers, best since only the second quarterback to put up these numbers in the first 2 games. The other 2013 Peyton Manning. So Patriots are going to be a 12-13 win team.
All right, let's go to the North. I've gone with the Bengals since the get-go here. I have them in my fine 5 still. They were impressive again. They beat a pretty good Chargers team, so I'm going to stick with Cincinnati in the North.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are that one team nobody talks about because of their, lack of success in the postseason. But to be in the postseason, you got to get there, and it's the regular season. The Bengals are just a very good football team, and they're clearly, at least through 2 weeks, the best team in a very difficult division.
All right, let's go to the South, where this one's really up in the air. We've constantly gone with the Colts, but they're 0-2. But we keep saying, well, that division stinks. Have we seen enough from the Colts to make us feel like all of a sudden that they're going to be able to rebound from this 0-2 start? I'm sticking with the Colts. Where are you going in the South?
I'm sticking with the Colts, and no, we haven't seen enough. But the bottom line is Andrew Luck is 16-2 against games in this division. So until somebody proves they can beat the Colts in what could be the worst division in football, I'm not going away from them 0-2 or not.
I got West here. I'm interested to get your take on the West because we both, I think, went with Kansas City. I'm not bailing on them. Even though they lost at home in the division, I'm not going to bail on the Chiefs. They should have won that game. Poorly coached in the last minute.
We love
of the two.
Everybody wants to kill it. But if you can't give the ball to your best player and trust him in that situation, I can't kill Andy Reid for that. Nonetheless, they lost the home game, so I'm going Denver. Even though I think Kansas City has a better football team, this is a snapshot in time, and the Broncos got their best win, so they're in the AFC.
I've got Kansas City win in the West, but I've got Denver as my wild card. The other wild card is really hard. There's a grab bag of teams that are in the mix here. I mean, everybody has had a reason to say yes or no. I'm going with Buffalo this week, and here's why, John. Undisciplined, erratic quarterback play, but they've got defense, and I think in the end, defense in this league still wins out. So I'll take Buffalo because of the defense over the Jets, Baltimore, who lost in Oakland. That's just awful. Over Pittsburgh and over San Diego as some of the teams that are just out.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas City. I think they're still good enough to be a wild card team, and I'm putting Pittsburgh back in this week. They rebounded nicely. I don't think anybody other than Aaron Rodgers is playing at a higher level of quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger. And while I agree with your assessment of defense, the one thing that is more important is great quarterback play, and the Steelers have it. But, I'm starting to give a little love to the Jets. I can't put them in there just yet. But they're the team on the rise. Along with, in the same division, Buffalo. Interesting, the one team we're not talking about is Miami, since they were supposed to be the one team on the cusp because of Ryan Tannehill.
All right, so in the AFC, I got Patriots, Bengals, Colts, Chiefs, Buffalo, Denver.
I have Patriots, Bengals, Colts, Broncos, Chiefs, Steelers.
So the only team we have different is the Buffalo Steeler wild card, and we have our West flip-flopped. All right. I thought we would have more discrepancies there, but I would assume the NFC is going to be very interesting. Let's start with the West. I'm going Arizona. Palmer looks great. They got weapons, and their defense hasn't skipped a beat with Bowles being out. I'm impressed by them. I love Arians, man.
I loved Arizona last year. I thought they were a true Super Bowl contender until Carson Palmer went down. When he's healthy, and that's a big if. I mean, because you're talking about a 35-year-old guy who's had a history of knee injuries now. But when he's there and cooking on all cylinders, they're very difficult to beat. They're the best team in that division.
I agree with that, John. In the South, you got 2-0 Atlanta, you got 2-0 Carolina. What's your bag there?
My bag is the Falcons. As long as they can keep playing NFC East teams, why not? They got the Cowboys this week. I think they're going to be 3-0. I think you can make a strong argument that Julio Jones has been the MVP of this league through 2 weeks. That's not going to hold up, obviously, for a receiver. It's just too difficult. But that's the kind of level he's playing at, and I think Dan Quinn's got everything going in the right direction there.
I went Carolina, and the reason I go is similar because, look, this team, Carolina, under Ron Rivera, has gotten off to awful starts, and they seem to come on late. They're 2-0 to start now. I think Cam Newton's really playing good football, both with the arm and the legs, and they're a plus 18. They've only given up 26 points this year. They don't get their defense talked about as much as some of the other teams. They're awesome on defense.
Well, they should, and especially when Luke Kuechly's been down with the concussion.
Who didn't play last week.
When he comes back, it gets even better.
He's a Sean Lee.
He's better. He's one of the top 2 or 3 defensive players in this league, right behind J.J. Watt, and I think he's the best linebacker in all of football. And even though they lost Greg Hardy, they still have a lot up front. They're very, very good defense.
My man Star Latulele down there.
And he was out last week, too.
I wanted the Eagles to take him in that draft when they took Lane Johnson. That was the guy I really wanted to see them take. All right, in the North, I think the Packers are the clear pick there.
Yeah, clear pick for the Super Bowl in the NFC at this point.
He went there, folks. He went there.
I mean, really, if you look at what's happened and you look at the significant steps back that Seattle has taken and all the injuries Dallas has undertaken, it's very, very early, but I don't see anyone matching up with Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers, look at he's played a full season at Lambeau Field, 16 consecutive games without throwing an interception. And he's 15-1 over that span.
In the East, I have gone with Dallas for the first 2 weeks. This one's hard because there's so many injuries. All these teams have, I would say they have more problems than they do pluses, but I'm going to stick with Dallas because of defense. Who would thought we're saying Dallas because of defense, John? But they're getting pieces back, and I think with Whedon, they look better offensively with Whedon than they did Romo. That's not to say he's a better player, but they simplified it, and by the time Whedon got in the game, I think the Eagles were gassed on defense.
Yeah, they were. And Jerry Jones, you'll never see a better passer than Brandon Whedon. But, Greg Hardy.
First-round pick he was.
Greg Hardy's going to be back week 5. Rolando McClain's going to be back. You just mentioned Sean Lee. He made the big play in the end zone. They're much better defensively. And they're going to, I believe they're the best team in that division. They're going to weather the storm. It might be a 9-7 win of that division, but that's the way it's shaping up.
All right, this one's hard. The wild cards, and this is why if you're an Eagles fan, you probably can't write the book on this season yet. I don't know who you went with wild cards, but you could almost put them in a hat and pull them out and say, all right, I'll try to give you my best argument for them. I had Eagles the first 2 weeks. I have them out. I've got Atlanta as a wild card because, quite frankly, I think the tiebreakers are going to be a problem for Philadelphia in that situation. You're 2 games behind Atlanta, and they beat you. And I'm sticking with Seattle. I want to see one more week of them before I give up on them. So I go Atlanta, Seattle. That would leave a Washington, New York, Philadelphia out, Minnesota out, Detroit, who was in last year, out. The 2 teams in the South have no shot. The Rams and the Niners on the outs.
Yeah, I'm Carolina. Interesting. I can't believe we got 2 teams in the NFC South making the playoffs, but we both do. I think the Panthers are one, and I think the Seahawks are still a playoff team. Bottom line is they've lost 2 games, but they're both on the road. One of them in Lambeau. I don't think we know how dominant they've been in Seattle since Russell Wilson has gotten there. They haven't played a game there yet, so they're going to be fine.
All right, there's our who's in for the NFC. I've got Dallas, Green Bay, Carolina, Arizona, Atlanta, Seattle.
Yeah, the only thing we differed is we switched in the NFC South. I have Atlanta winning, Carolina as the wild card.
All right, boy, this week was cleaner than I thought.
Great minds think alike.
That's true.